Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving into a story that is shaking global defense circles and making headlines across Washington, Moscow, and beyond. Turkey has once again surprised the world by unveiling what many are calling its own version of a C-400 air defense system, a move that directly challenges the dominance of both Russia and the United States in advanced military technology. For years, air defense systems have been one of the most sensitive and strategic elements of global power. Countries that control the skies, or can deny others access to them, gain a massive advantage in any modern conflict. Russia's S-400 system and America's Patriot system have long been symbols of this power, representing not just weapons, but influence, alliances, and geopolitical leverage. Turkey's announcement signals something much deeper than just a new piece of hardware. It reflects a clear intention to break free from dependency on foreign suppliers and assert itself as a fully independent military power. This ambition has been building for years, and now it seems to be reaching a critical point that neither Putin nor Trump-era policies fully anticipated. To understand why this matters so much, we need to look back at Turkey's complicated relationship with both NATO and Russia. As a NATO member, Turkey was expected to align closely with Western defense standards. However, its decision to purchase the Russian S-400 system shocked allies and triggered sanctions from the United States. That moment marked a turning point in Turkey's defense strategy. Rather than backing down under pressure, Turkey appears to have learned a valuable lesson from the crisis. Depending on external powers for critical defense systems leaves a country vulnerable to political pressure, sanctions, and strategic limitations. The logical response was to invest heavily in domestic research, development, and production. The result of that investment is what analysts are now calling Turkey's C-400, an advanced air defense system reportedly capable of tracking and engaging multiple targets at long ranges. While official specifications are still limited, early indications suggest it is designed to counter fighter jets, drones, cruise missiles, and possibly even ballistic threats. This development directly challenges Russia's position as one of the world's top air defense exporters. For years, Moscow has used systems like the S-300 and S-400 not just for defense but as diplomatic tools. Selling these systems builds long-term military relationships and creates dependency on Russian training, maintenance, and upgrades. If Turkey succeeds in exporting its own advanced air defense system, it could disrupt this model entirely. Countries that want high-end air defense but wish to avoid Western political conditions or Russian influence may see Turkey as a new alternative. This would be a major shift in the global arms market. The United States is watching this development just as closely. Washington has long been concerned about Turkey drifting away from NATO standards and interoperability. A domestically produced system gives Ankara even more freedom to chart its own course, potentially reducing American influence over Turkish defense decisions. From Turkey's perspective, this is about sovereignty. Turkish leaders have repeatedly emphasized that national security cannot be outsourced. Sanctions, export restrictions, and political disagreements have convinced Ankara that self-reliance is no longer optional, but essential. The technological leap required to build such a system should not be underestimated. Modern air defense relies on complex radar networks, advanced software, secure communications, and precision-guided interceptors. Achieving this requires not just money, but a mature industrial base and skilled workforce. Turkey's defense industry has grown rapidly over the past decade. Success stories like the Bayraktar drones have already demonstrated Ankara's ability to compete globally. These drones change the dynamics of conflicts in multiple regions and prove that Turkish technology could deliver real battlefield impact. The C-400 project appears to build on that momentum. By integrating indigenous radar technology with locally produced missiles and command systems, Turkey aims to control every aspect of the system. This reduces vulnerability to foreign embargoes and allows continuous upgrades without external approval. Politically, this move sends a strong message to both Moscow and Washington. To Russia, it says that Turkey is no longer just a customer, but a competitor. To the United States, it signals that pressure tactics may push allies toward greater independence rather than compliance. The reaction from Russia has been cautious. Moscow understands that Turkey's ambitions could undermine its influence, but it also values its strategic relationship with Ankara. Energy cooperation, regional diplomacy, and trade ties complicate any direct confrontation over defense technology. For the United States, the situation is equally complex. Turkey remains a critical NATO member with significant strategic importance, controlling access to the Black Sea and acting as a bridge between Europe and the Middle East. Alienating Ankara entirely would come at a high cost. This balancing act creates a unique space for Turkey to maneuver. By developing its own systems, Ankara reduces the leverage both superpowers hold over it. This is not about choosing sides, but about ensuring freedom of action in a multipolar world. The timing of this announcement is also significant. Global conflicts have highlighted the importance of air defense like never before. Drone swarms, missile strikes, and hybrid warfare have become central features of modern combat. Demand for effective air defense systems is rising fast. Turkey is positioning itself to meet that demand. If the C-400 proves reliable and cost-effective, it could attract interest from countries that cannot afford Western systems or do not want the political strings that come with them. There are also domestic implications. Developing such a system boosts national pride and reinforces the narrative of Turkey as a rising power. It strengthens the defense industry, creates high-tech jobs, and supports long-term economic growth. Critics, however, warn of challenges ahead. Building an advanced system is one thing, but testing, deploying, and maintaining it at scale is another. Integration with existing platforms and ensuring reliability under real combat conditions will be critical tests. There is also the question of interoperability. If Turkey continues to diverge from NATO systems, coordination with allies could become more complicated. This could have implications for joint operations and alliance cohesion. Supporters argue that true alliances should respect sovereignty and allow members to pursue their own defense solutions. From this view, Turkey's C-400 is not a threat to NATO, but a reflection of changing realities in global security. Another key factor is export control. If Turkey begins selling this system abroad, it will face pressure from major powers concerned about the spread of advanced technology. How Ankara navigates these pressures will shape its role in the global arms market. The name C-400 itself is symbolic. It clearly echoes the Russian S-400, signaling confidence and ambition. It suggests that Turkey sees itself not as a junior partner, but as a peer capable of matching established players. This development also fits into a broader trend of middle powers investing heavily in indigenous defense capabilities. Countries around the world are learning that reliance on a few major suppliers can be risky in an era of sanctions and shifting alliances. Turkey's experience with the F-35 program reinforced this lesson. Being removed from the program after the S-400 purchase was a wake-up call that accelerated domestic projects across multiple domains, from jets to missiles to air defense. The long-term impact of the C-400 will depend on performance. If it meets expectations, it could reshape Turkey's defense posture and elevate its status as a technology exporter. If it falls short, it will still represent a bold attempt to break free from dependency. Either way, the message is clear. Turkey is no longer content to be a passive player in global defense politics. It wants to design, build, and control the systems that protect its skies and project its influence. For Putin, this is a reminder that influence built on arms sales is not guaranteed forever. For Trump, Pera thinking that relied heavily on sanctions and pressure, it shows the limits of coercion in a world